What's going on, everybody? It's Sasha, your market expert here in Charlotte. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back for another monthly market report for the month of June. Now, it is basically official. We are starting to actually see the real estate market cool down. Before, we're grasping at straws. We're looking for any little tiny sign of the market to cool down. But right now, I'm really starting to see it a lot more than any other time these past 2 years, which is extremely interesting. And right now is the time to pay even more attention to it. So make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the real estate market, what you think the future of the real estate market is going to be for the Charlotte and surrounding areas. I'm not so much concerned with other areas because I don't work in those places and I don't live my day-to-day work life working in those areas. And make sure you hit that like button. As always, if there's any other questions I can answer for you, anything I can do for you, feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to help you in any way that I possibly can. And on that same note, this past month, I've gotten a lot of phone calls, not only from people relocating to the Charlotte area, but a ton of investors. A ton of investors watch my channel specifically because of these market reports, because, they're flipping houses, they're buying rental properties, they're looking to sell their portfolio. So they're looking to buy and sell constantly, depending on what type of investor they are. So there's been a huge uptick in that, which usually isn't the case. I get a couple of investors here and there, but a ton lately within the last month. Now, just a heads up, we do all these market reports in arrears. So right now is June. All the numbers we go over are from the month of May. However, the numbers don't match up with what I started to see a couple weeks ago. These numbers, spoiler alert, median price is up, average sales price is up, inventory is up, but houses are still selling extremely fast, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. Now, what I want to talk about, I had to write a couple things down here because I can ramble about real estate all day. So when did I start to see this slowdown? I started to see this slowdown in the middle of May. In the middle of May, we have a bunch of realtor or real estate, groups and forums that we communicate in. A couple realtors started posting their new listings, open houses and things like that. And they were saying, hey, just put up a house in the Cotswold area. Great house, great location. I had an open house and the turnout wasn't really that good. Not a lot of people scheduled showings. So a lot of the people in the comments were saying, oh, it's graduation week. People are graduating college, they're graduating high school. It's normally slow, towards the end of May. I personally have never noticed a slowdown towards the end of May. That's something I would definitely pay attention to. This is the first time I've ever actually started to know, and this was kind of the first red flag. So a week later, same thing. A couple other agents posted their listing saying, hey, I thought this was going to sell as soon as I hit the market. It's still on the market after about a week. What's going on? And again, kind of the same thing. Oh, Memorial Day is coming up. People are traveling for the holidays, blah, blah, blah. Now, moving on to week 3, the first week of June, I'm starting to see the slowdown. So I'm working with a couple clients right now. I was able to, unfortunately, they didn't want to move through with the purchase of the house for, whatever reason, the house didn't fit their needs. But I did my due diligence and I was very proactive. So I started to reach out to the agent because these houses have been sitting for a couple days. After negotiating a little bit, getting some terms together, I basically told my clients, I said, hey, we can get this house at asking price. 2 properties we were able to get if they wanted to move forward at asking price with reasonable terms such as due diligence, earnest money, closing date, and all that stuff. And then I had another client in Ballantyne. Now, the Waxhaw and Ballantyne, these price ranges are between $500 and $650. Lower price, it's usually more competitive. Higher price, usually less competitive. So the other house in Ballantyne just hit the market. I'm talking with the agent. We were thinking about offering not that much above asking at all because it was kind of priced a little bit high. we were getting a little bit of traction. And as I was talking to the agent, they said, hey, we're hoping to land around one of these recently sold comps in the area. I know that comp very well because before I called them, I did my research. And the comp was only 25 to 30,000 above the listed price. So the feedback I was getting was, hey, you know, if you did submit an offer, if it was around this range where this comp is, you have a very good chance of getting it. Unfortunately, my clients didn't want to move through. They didn't want to pay that much. But the talks are much different. As you can see, 2 houses in 1 week at potential asking price if my clients wanted to buy it. And then the other house, we needed to be roughly $25,000, $30,000 above, which is way different than the 30, 50. And I'm sure you've seen some of the houses that have closed at 80, 100,000 plus above asking. Second thing that I'm starting to see, a lot of houses that would have sold within the first couple of days hitting the market are now sitting. They're sitting on the market for a week. They're sitting on the market for 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks, and then they're finally getting sold. When as opposed to 3 to 6 months ago, they would have been sold that same weekend without a doubt. They're in good areas. They're in decent shape. They're not, you know, everything's completely gutted. Everything's brand new, but they're nice houses in decent shape. And I'm telling you, if they were hit on the market 3 to 6 months ago, they would have sold within the first couple of days and not within the first week or two. The third thing I'm starting to notice, because these houses that usually would sell within the first couple of days are starting to sit for a week or two, we're starting to see price decreases happening within the first week or two. And I'm not talking about $1,000 or $2,000 price decrease just so it pops back up on somebody's radar. I'm seeing bigger price decreases, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 price decreases, because if it doesn't sell within that first couple of weeks, a seller starts to get worried, especially if the house is vacant. That means they're already moved into their new home. They've already moved into their rental. So they basically have 2 mortgages. So they start to get worried a little bit. And now I'm starting to see these price decreases very early, as opposed to the last 2 years where it's taken forever and a ton of feedback to get a price decrease. Now, I say all that, I'm telling you guys the market is cooling. Yes, it is. But as always, it's on a case-by-case basis. My personal opinion, I do not think we're going to have a drastic decrease in prices or anything like that in the near future. I think the market will start to cool more, and I think we will have some potential price decreases in the next 1 to 2 years due to the inflation, due to all these problems that our economies have in employment and things like that. I really think the interest rates are going to hit to 7 to 8%. Once that happens, we're going to see decent price decreases. You're going to start seeing the 10, maybe even 20% price decreases. If the interest rate hits 7 to 8%, the prices have to go down, because otherwise people are not going to pay an extreme premium on a house and then an extreme premium on the interest rate. It's just not going to work like that. So one has to give. And if the interest rate goes up to those points, to the 7 to the 8%, the house price is the one that's going to give. And that's where I think we're going to get that decrease from. Some of these other houses that I mentioned, guys, this does not mean, hey, I watched Sasha's video. He said I can just take my time. I can wait a couple days and see what happens. Yes, you can do that if you want to, just to kind of test the waters, because like I said, things are changing. But if you see a house that you really like, I don't recommend you waiting, because that house still will sell extremely fast. I'm just starting to see that based off the interest rates, based off the prices, that buyers really aren't settling now. Before, they might settle. Hey, you know what? Actually having that office space isn't really too important as long as I have the square footage. I do like this house, I'll go for it. Well, maybe the backyard isn't perfect. Maybe it's not as big as I want it to. It's still nice. It has a good amount of privacy. I like the neighborhood. You know, let's go for it. Now that they're having to pay a premium on price and a premium on the interest rate, buyers aren't settling. It needs to check the boxes. There's no more, hey, if it's not hitting this criteria, it needs to hit the neighborhood, it needs to hit the square footage, it needs to hit the bedrooms, the bathrooms, it needs to have the office space, it needs to have the backyard. And I don't disagree. If you're a buyer out there, you shouldn't settle. Right now, prices are high, interest rates are going up, you should not settle. You should get into a house that you can comfortably live in, comfortably grow into in the coming years. Like I said, when people want to buy a house, I tell them, buy it, but live in it for a minimum of 5 years. A minimum of 5 years. That's my rule of thumb. Some people say 3 years. I say 5. I'm a long-term holder. Any and all real estate that I buy in the Charlotte and surrounding areas, I will be holding for the next, probably the rest of my life. So I'm long-term. That's why the market really doesn't get to me. This was an extremely long vent. I hope you took as much information as you can, but now let's get into the stats that, as I mentioned, honestly don't correlate with what I've been seeing these last 3 weeks. So let's start with new listings. So in regards to new listings, we had 6,055 new listings in the month of May. That's a 4.4% increase from this time last year, and it's roughly about 275 more listings than we had in the month of April. This is supposed to continue to go up as we head into summertime. And as I just mentioned, we're starting to have that cool down. So I feel like some sellers might start to panic, which is going to lead more and more listings coming to the market. So we should start to see this number increase every single month for the next year to 2 years, and let's see where we end up. Now let's talk about pending sales, which came in at 5,241. Now that's a 2.1% decrease from this time last year. So guys, as I mentioned before in some of my other videos, this is the interest rate pricing out buyers. Buyers can afford less home due to the interest rate. So a lot of people have taken the sideline and are not buying a home right now until they start to see some changes. In regards to average sales price, it came in at $462,000, and that's a 17.3% increase from this time last year. And get this, it's over a $14,000 increase from the month of April. So average sales price is going up. Now let's talk about the median sales price and let's see where that's at. Median sales price came in at $391,000. That is a 20.8% increase from this time last year, and it is over $11,000 more compared to the month of April. I've told you this before, I do not like the median price this high. Our median price here in Charlotte should be around $300,000. That is my personal opinion. That is where housing is affordable and you still, just housing is affordable. We need affordable housing and we really don't have that. And we do have a lot of overpriced homes in the Charlotte area. There's a lot of neighborhoods, in my opinion, that I think are overpriced. And there's even some right now that I think are underpriced. But the fact that we're so close to being at a median price point of $400,000 is insane. A $400,000 home at a 5.5% interest rate is around, with a 3 to 5% down payment, is around $2,800 a month. That's just for your living expenses. A lot of people can't afford that. That's exactly why I say this median price point needs to be lower. It needs to be within that $300, $320 price range to make it more affordable. But obviously the market does not care about what I think. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at almost $400,000 for a median price point. It's insane. Now getting into days on market, which came in at 14. That is a 17.6% decrease from this time last year, and a 3-day decrease compared to April. So based off this stat, it's telling us that homes are selling faster now than they did before, which is absolutely insane. But as I mentioned, guys, there are those houses that hit the market and they're going to sell no matter what. Now getting into the percentage of the original list price received, which came in at 102.9, and that's a 1.3% increase from this time last year. This is a very important stat, even though, as I mentioned, I'm starting to see the market cool from where we were before. houses are still selling over ask. Based off this stat, you can basically expect to pay 3% over the list price. Now, as I mentioned, guys, this is on a case-by-case basis. There's houses, like I said, that you can possibly get at asking price, possibly below asking price, but there is still a ton of houses that are selling way above asking price, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 plus on the asking price. So just make sure you do your due diligence before submitting an offer so you know exactly where you need to be at in order to get that offer accepted. Now, you all know by now the worst stat, months of inventory, which came in at 0.8, and that is an 11.1% decrease from this time last year. We're starting to get more listings hit the market, but not enough to affect and help the months of inventory. Guys, right now we need at least 3 times the amount of inventory that we currently have in order for us to get into a neutral market where it's good for sellers and it's also decent for buyers. Now, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment down below. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.